Okay, I think we're live. Just give it another second. I'm a little bit technically challenged this week as I didn't bring my laptop to the office with me today, so I'm trying to follow your comments and stuff on my phone. So yeah, bear with me on that. Okay, welcome to this week's Kendo Gamer. Can't believe I'm still doing this. I'm really happy that it's been as popular as it has so far. I've got a few interesting things to talk about. I've got a great question from Facebook about feeling about low points in Kendo, really, and feeling like you want to give up, and my sort of experiences with that and how I've kind of overcome them, as it were. That's something that we're going to be talking about today, and we're also going to be talking about, as the title says, we're going to be talking about Kata, and if Kata is still relevant in modern Kendo. Yeah, we'll do that. If you're watching this on YouTube later on, then leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you think. If you'd like to see more episodes of Kendo Gamer in the future. And if you'd like us to keep doing it, what you'd like us to talk about, things like that. And if you are watching it live, of course, then it's this side. I think it's a comments thing on the side of the screen. If you're watching it on a computer, you can use the comments section there to leave me questions, any comments, join on in, and yeah, of course, I'll do my best to answer them as we go along, or when we get to the end of the stream, depending on what they are. We're playing For Honor today because it's a great game. I really like it, and I've played it a lot on this Kendo Gamer show. But you know, it's kind of cool. I played Destiny last week, and I'd sort of forgotten how rubbish I was at it. Not that I'm much better at For Honor, to be honest, but at least it's got sort of samurais and stuff in it, and ninjas and what have you. So we'll have a go at that. As I always say, I'm not very good at it, so don't have high expectations. All right, if you came here to learn how to play For Honor, or if you learn how to try and learn how to be good at playing computer games, you're on the wrong channel. Okay, this isn't this isn't the show for you. All right. So as I said, I'm going to be repeating myself a little bit as new people join in the stream. I'm going to be talking today about, as the title of the stream suggests, we're going to be talking about Kata, and if it is still relevant in modern Kendo or not. I think you can guess the answer, but I'm going to be talking about why I think what I think in regards to that. And I'm also going to be talking about a question that I got on Facebook, which was about sort of low points in Kendo, and how I've dealt with those when I felt like I wanted to give up or quit Kendo, and how I've got through it, as it were. So we're going to do that. Let me kick off a game. What shall we... I don't have a script this week either. I often like write out, not a script, but like a piece of paper with pointers on, bullet points and stuff. I often do that, but I haven't this week. So I'm sort of ad-libbing it as well, so sort of bear with me on that. So which character am I going to play this week? Well, I play lots of different characters anyway, but I think I'm going to... I've got a little note here on the ninja, or shinobi, is it? I think we'll use him because he's cool. Is it that one? I don't know. Good. So yeah, there was a great question on Facebook asking me about low points in Kendo and the times when you feel like you want to quit, and how I've dealt with them, and how I've overcome them, really. And basically, it's something that I think everybody goes through. I think you have to go through it really to progress in Kendo. There's lots of times that Kendo really offers itself as a kind of chance for you to overcome such obstacles or barriers. Some of the notable times I felt like it, when one of the earlier times, one of the first times that I went over to Japan, before I moved over there. I'm just having a drink, so before I moved over there, I went over there for like a month or so to train in a high school, and it's a very, very high level high school, one of the top ones in Japan actually. Produced many All Japan championships, not championships, and it's been very. It's been a sort of solid school for many, many years. And I went over there and I spent a month practicing there, and it was in preparation for one of the world championships that I was in. And yeah, it was super tough. So it's in the comments there. Hodor Lebowski, hello, good to have you here. I'm kind of winging it with the comments a bit today. I forgot my laptop today, so I'm doing all the comments on my phone here, so there might be a bit of a delay on it, but don't worry if I'm a little bit slow in replying to your comments. So yeah, I went to train this high school, and it was pretty much every day, sort of 3 hours of practice. And it was super hard. It was physically tiring, and it was emotionally difficult for me as well. I guess at the time I was quite successful in the UK, certainly in terms of my shinai performance. I'd even won some shinai in Europe, and I was quite confident in my ability, more so than I should have been. Really, the confidence I had in my ability didn't equal the ability I had. But I was captain of the national team and all that, and yeah, I spent this sort of month with these young lads at high school, and I couldn't keep up with them. I was really finding it hard to keep up with the practice intensity. I wasn't able to participate in all of the exercises that we're doing because I wasn't good enough. My basics weren't good enough. I didn't have good enough footwork, I just didn't have a good enough ability. So sometimes I'd have to sit out in order not to disturb the practice of others, which was quite hard. And also, like, for a whole month we do keiko, jigeko every day. And because I was older, I was an adult, I'd stand as motodachi, and all the boys would come and sort of stand and do keiko with me. And for a whole month, I don't think I scored a single ippon. I didn't achieve a single yuko datotsu in my keiko, and it was very difficult. It was very difficult, and I came back often. After. Well, that was a quick death, wasn't it? I came back often after keiko, home, feeling very down, very depressed, wondering why I was putting myself through it, thinking about, why am I even doing this? Do I need to do this to myself? Like, I feel awful. Surely, maybe I'll just give in. Or maybe I'll even just take a back seat, and I'll just do kendo super casually and just do it like once a week or something, and not really worry about competing so much. But I was there, and I was already sort of involved. People had gone to effort to allow me to be able to participate in that practice. Oh dear, I don't like the way this is going. Able to participate in that practice. So of course, it wasn't such an easy thing to just turn around and say, well, actually, I'm not going anymore, or something like that, or just wind up and say, no, I'm not. I'm not going to take it seriously or anything like that. I couldn't really do that. And I'm glad as well, because it sort of pushed me through it in a way. And yeah, that was one way how I sort of overcame that. And there's been lots of other times when I've had something very similar happen. For example, just kendo's not been going that well for me, or maybe I didn't achieve something that I really wanted to. I've had a couple of times, even after, you know, shinai that have been quite important to me, that haven't gone the way I'd hoped they would go. They've often made me feel like just giving in, not doing it anymore. But I think that's the point, isn't it? That's the point. You have to kind of find yourself and work hard to. Oh dear me! I don't think I've actually killed anybody yet. You have to work hard to overcome that so that you can be stronger. And actually, it's not something that I've felt now for quite a long time. You know, I can't remember the last time really that I felt, you know, well, why do I bother with this? Do I really need to carry on? Because I think I've sort of passed that stage, if that makes sense, you know. Kendo's not something I mean, of course I choose to do it, but it's not like, I don't think of it as something that I particularly kind of go to it. I mean, of course I go to an effort to do it, but like I just do it. Kendo's just something that I do. I don't kind of have that thought process of should I keep doing it or should I, you know, stop doing it or anything like that. I don't have that thought process. It's just part of who I am, really. So yeah. Hope that makes sense. I'm not sure if it really answers the question how you wanted it to, but I think when you have that situation, you know, where you do want to quit, I think it's okay to take time off, but you have to. I think if you have a bad day at Keiko or a bad practice or a bad experience, I think it's best as much as possible to go straight back to the dojo after that. Try and go back to Kendo even if you don't feel like you want to. And, you know, push through it at that particular point, because it's very easy if you don't do that. It's very, very easy to just, you know, say, oh, well, I'm going to take a week off, or I'm not going to go this week, and then just not go back. And you know, I think that's regrettable. I don't think that's the best way to deal with it. You're better off just soldiering on, as it were. And even if you know it's not. 9 times out of 10, you'll find that when you go to that practice, you'll have a great time, and you'll find again why you don't want to quit it. After all, you want to keep going. You know. So yeah, I'm gonna get killed. Not good. Not good. So yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at with that, if that makes sense. So yeah.
You lost Zone A.
I'm assuming everyone can hear me okay, and that I've not done another technological mishap with my microphone, and I'm not broadcasting my chat to the other people in the game and not to the stream. I'm assuming all's good with that.
You lost Zone C.
Yeah. So yeah, that's it really with that. Don't forget, by the way, if you're watching this live, the sound's fine, fantastic, good, thank you very much. Don't forget, if you are watching this live, there is a comment section on this side of the screen. I got it right. That's it. That you can use to fire questions or anything you're thinking about. Just pop it in there and we can chat about it. And if you're watching this later on YouTube, then there's a comment thing down below. You can comment on there and tell me how much I suck at this game. Oh dear, I'm not very good at this at all. So, what I'm really wanting to talk about today is, if I can stop getting battered on this. What I really want to talk about is the relevance of kata. I think it's something that I definitely think is worth talking about. I do think it's something that we should consider. And obviously, I've entitled the video is kata relevant in modern Kendo? And of course, I think it is. Oh dear, I don't like the look of that. Let's just run away like a real brave guy. of course, kata's relevant, but it can feel sometimes that it's maybe not relevant because it doesn't always directly look. Oh, I've got one. It doesn't directly look like other aspects of kendo that maybe we use a shinai for. But yeah, it is, and that's because there's so much that you can gain from the practice of kata. However, there is a lot you can lose from the over practice of it as well. So you have to really, oh, my team's breaking, so I can't respawn. You have to really get that balance right, and it's very difficult, of course, if you're not the sort of instructor in your club or whatever. But you definitely need to practice kata, but you don't need to practice it all the time instead of doing something like uchikomi or kirikaeshi, because that also won't help you improve either. So the first thing you've got to do is make sure you get the balance right. But when you're practicing kata, the first and most important thing that kata allows us to practice that's directly applicable to our shinai kendo is reigi. Yeah, reigi and reiho. The way we do manners, the way we do when we're doing kata, of course, we have to make sure our appearance is very good, we're holding the sword properly, we're performing rei at the correct angle, in the correct manner, together with our opponent. We're performing taito and kamaeto, sonkyo, and all that sort of thing, and that's directly applicable to shinai kendo, right? Equally, when you practice that in shinai kendo, that's kind of applicable to your kata as well. But the kata gives you a chance to really break that down and concentrate on getting that dead right, and hopefully kind of training it into habit. So that's one aspect where kata is absolutely super duper relevant to modern kendo, because kendo begins and ends with rei. Yeah, it begins and ends with manners. So you have to make it right. You have to do it right. And kata is one aspect of kendo practice where we specifically focus on the kind of accurate movements that we're making. So that's that. I'd also say that the next thing, of course, is ashisabaki, taisabaki. Yeah, so the way you move your feet, where you move your body, right? One thing I see a lot when we're doing, it's very, very evident in kata, and when you see somebody do kata and they do this, it invariably spills over into their shinai kendo as well, and that's when they move, when either they're doing, about to do sonkyo, so they've done rei, then taito, and then you take the 3 steps together, right? What should I do? I might try, you know what? I'm going to try this guy. I don't know how to play this guy at all, but we're going to try him. But he looks kind of like a cool samurai, so we'll do that. But when you get to taito and you take your 3 steps forwards to do sonkyo, that movement has to be with correct ashisabaki. You're not just walking 1, 2, 3 like this, yeah? You should be moving with good ayumi ashi, with suri ashi sliding, like this, yeah? And your hips aren't swaying from side to side. Your hips stay forward as you move forward, and your head doesn't bob up and down, yeah? That is a directly applicable point to shinai kendo for when you're in kamae and you're moving, yeah? And throughout the kata too, yeah? Taisabaki, the way you move your body. Okay, kata number 1, shitachi starts in jodan, right jodan, and steps back, man, steps back tall, isn't it? Yeah. That taisabaki, understanding the distance too as well. But taisabaki we're talking about, kata number 2, step to the side for kote. Also when you perform the kata number 3 and you're blocking the tsuki, that's also taisabaki, right? There's taisabaki in all of them. Number 4, this men, taisabaki as you move, yeah. Number 5 as well, is this one. Number 6, not so obvious maybe, but number 7, of course, when you do the door waza, yeah, that ashtabaki taisabaki is exactly the same as men nukido in shinai kendo, yeah, and the point is, you know, like nukido is a great example. Nukido, you shouldn't do fumikomi really when you do nukido, right? It's suriashi when you do nukido, even in your shiai. You don't have time. Oh, left my pad on the table. You don't have time to stamp, yeah. So you do suriashi, and it's essentially the shape, the overall movements are exactly the same as kata number 7. You just don't kneel down on the floor. You just continue on with suriashi. So they're like really direct and obvious benefits of kata practice in sort of two shinai kendo. Oh dear, oh dear, I don't think this is going well. Oh no, it's not working, is it? I think I'm gonna be dead in a sec. Oh, I got away though, I got away. See if I can go and heal myself. So they're obviously like, you know, obvious physical kind of benefits to practicing kata that we can take into our shinai kendo. Now that isn't to say that you can't improve those without doing kata, because you probably could, but the fact is as well is that kata allows us to respect the tradition of kendo, and it allows us to understand the difference, and that's the importance as well. This is a really important point. It allows you to understand the difference, I think, between kendo with a bokuto, or as it would be with an actual sword, and kendo with a shinai, right? They're not the same, right? And this could probably be controversial to some people, I guess, but you don't use a shinai in the same way that you use a real sword. You're not supposed to. The Zen Kenden have made that quite clear, actually, that the shinai isn't supposed to be a literal replacement for a Japanese sword. It responds in a different way, you use it in a different way. You apply the principles of a real, well, the sort of techniques, the principles of the techniques of a real sword to your waza with the shinai, but the actual technical points or the technical refinement is a little bit different. The way you would perform tenuchi, for example, is a little bit different with a shinai as it is with a real sword, because a shinai isn't designed to be, or supposed to be, in modern kendo, a direct replacement for a real sword. However, by practicing kata, we use a bokuto, of course, which allows us to understand that difference. Yeah, it allows us to see that difference, because you don't wield a bokuto in the same way that you wield a shinai. You don't use the same tenuchi or the same sort of mechanical movements so much. You know, it's different because it's a bokuto. Yeah, it's more like a real sword. So that's something else, of course, on a slightly more philosophical point, in that it, like I say, it allows us to understand that difference, and it allows us to reflect and respect the history of kendo. Which side am I on? Blue. That's how bad I am with this. I forgot which team I was on there. There's none of the other guys though. Oh, they're all over there fighting. Right, let's get over there. That's a massive sword my guy's got, isn't it? It's like huge. That's even longer than a shinai. Right, let's see if we can get one of these while they're sort of on this. Oh no, he got him first. Okay, alright. Let's capture this. So another thing as well that I think is important to consider about the kendo kata and its relevance to modern kendo, and probably the most important one, is how it allows us to understand our relationship with our opponent. Yeah. Now in kata, the moves or the movements are predetermined. Yeah, they're preordained or they're pre-decided. Yeah, they're set out already. We know what's going to happen, and the roles of each side are also decided. Yeah, Uchitachi is taking the role of the teacher, and the Shitachi is the role of the student. The Uchitachi always moves first, and the Uchitachi is always going to respond to that. That's excuse me. That's always going to be the case. That's how it's set out, and we've already decided Uchitachi will strike like this, and Shitachi will retaliate in this way. But we don't want to just run through the motions. Yeah, if you do that, then you're not going to benefit from it. And yeah, practicing kata where you just run through the motions isn't relevant to Kendo. It's not relevant to your Kendo. So if that's how you do kata and you think that kata maybe isn't that relevant, then yeah, it isn't, because you're not doing it in a way that it makes it relevant. If that makes sense. But if you do kata properly, then on it's not like properly. When I say properly, I just mean seriously. You know, if you put effort into it. I'm getting hammered again. Oh, I don't like this. I think I've got one. Oh, right, that's him dead. You know, if you put effort in and you actually do try your best to perform the kata correctly with the good feeling between yourself and your partner, then yes, you will be able to develop a lot of the things that are super important for your kendo practice with shinai. Things such as obviously really obvious, my distance. All right. That's one. That's super easy, right? Easy to understand that's between yourselves because it's a physical thing. But also the concept of aiki. Okay, aiki is when you both, it means the I is together and the ki is the spirit. Yeah, so the together spirit. It means that although, for example, Uchitachi is supposed to move first, right? We know that Uchitachi always moves first, which is fine. Oh dear, I don't like this. He's better at this than me. Oh dear. So Uchitachi always moves first. Oh crikey, he's shooting a bow at me. Right, I think I've got one that I can shoot at him. Oh, it didn't work. Oh dear, I don't like this. It's not going well. Uchitachi is supposed to always move first, we know this. However, it shouldn't be such a massive difference that the Uchitachi moves and then a couple of seconds later the Shitachi starts to move. That's no good at all. Yeah, the Shitachi has to read the movements, or read the ki, the spirit of the Uchitachi, so that it looks like they're almost moving at the same time. In fact, it even says in kata number 1 that the Uchitachi has to look at the ki o mite kara. They do that. It means they look at the ki of the Shitachi before making their big strike. You know, so they sort of pay attention to the spirit of the Shitachi before making the strike. So that aiki, it's in every aspect of the kata. Yeah, if you don't have that, it doesn't work. Yeah, you have to be able to move together, like kata number 3, where you come up from gedan. That's aiki there, where you're coming up together, and then he does ski and he does back, and then he does back and it goes like that, blocks in it, and then he goes again, he blocks again, and then 1, 2, 3, and then they kind of come back up to chudan and walk back with aiki together, right? It's no good if they kind of end up where was it, like that, they end up like this, and then as Uchitachi's starting to raise back, he's already walking back like that. It's no good, is it? You have to have that aiki, yeah, and that is probably one of the most, if not the most important aspect of the kata. That's what makes or breaks your kata. If you're practicing or doing the kata with somebody else, if you are able to have that aiki, that connection between the two of you, then that's what decides whether the kata is good or not. Really, doesn't matter how good your movements are. If you don't have the aiki, then it just doesn't feel like kata. Okay, And that directly translates over to almost every aspect of Kendo practice. Yeah, that same aiki is just as important when you're doing kirikaeshi, for example, or when you're doing uchikomi, kakari-geiko, or even when you're doing jigeko, and even further, even when you're doing shiai, you have to have that element of aiki so that you have that feeling between both participants. Yeah, both participants have that feeling, so that there's a flow and there's a. That's how opportunities can be created. Yeah. Otherwise, it's just two people randomly attacking each other. You might as well like play rock paper scissors or toss a coin. Yeah, it's just random. So that aspect of kata is super relevant. Yeah. So I actually, I'd recommend even people that are serious competitors, you should practice the kata from time to time. Yeah, I don't mean you have to practice it every practice. Yeah, that's in fairness, that's probably too much. But you should try and practice it every month or two. At least. There's nothing wrong with practicing it all the time. Every time. Just don't do it instead of kirikaeshi or something. Like I say, especially if you're a competitor. However, aside from aiki, there's more. There's more. Yeah. So what have we got so far? We've got reiho. Yeah, your manners, your etiquette, making sure that's correct. Right. I'm sorry. I'm breaking from the theme. I'm going away from the samurai, and I'm going with the dude with the big hammer. Because I'm not very good. So I'm thinking that if I'm not very good, I might just be able to smash things with a hammer. We've got reiho, yeah. So reiho, we've got ashisabaki, taisabaki, the way we move our footwork, the way we carry our body as we move, not just performing the kata, but as we move together. These things are directly applicable to your shinai kendo, yeah. And then also we've got aiki. Yeah, that concept of aiki, that relationship, that connection between you and your partner, whether you're uchitachi or whether you're shitachi, yeah, and the kata moves smoothly and together and it looks cohesive. Yeah, that's such a massive thing. Okay, you have to check if you have that when you're practicing kata. I recommend you do that when you're practicing kata. If you do kata number 1, you don't feel like you had that aiki really down, then go back and do that again before you move on to number 2, for example, because that's the core that you need. Yeah. And then the next thing I'd say is seme. Seme, okay? The actual underlying lessons of the kata, for example, the reasons why the waza that are used in the kata are used, they have lessons to them in themselves. Yeah. So, example, kata number 6, the shitachi starts in gedan. They come to a reasonably close distance, and the shitachi starts to apply seme from below to the sort of hands of the uchitachi. Oh dear, I don't like the way this is going. I'm already starting to lose. I thought the hammer was going to save me. Obviously not. Uh-oh, there we go. Already dead. Yeah, starts bring the shinai up, the sword up towards the hands of the uchitachi. The uchitachi, in response to this, starts to feel this pressure, feel this intimidation, this seme from the shitachi. That's obviously intimidating, and under that pressure they kind of cave in, and they move back to Jordan, quickly trying to escape. Yeah. However, the shitachi quickly moves forward and piles the pressure on even more, threatens towards the kote of the uchitachi. There we go. Right, I need to get my stamina back so I can attack. Towards the kote, the uchitachi immediately reverts to chudan, still under pressure from the shitachi, and finally breaking under that pressure, makes the kote strike almost out of panic. Yeah, it's kind of a reluctant strike. That is the plan of Shitachi from the start, is to put them in that paint, that's really push them into that corner. I've talked about this before, about how when you're applying pressure, it's like you're turning up the heat on a pressure cooker, and it's, oh dear me, here he is, he's wanting to, oh, I was trying, oh dear, it's not looking good, is it? Oh dear. Oh. It's like you're turning up the heat on a pressure cooker, and the things are getting more and more. It's about to boil over. That's exactly the feeling of kata number 6 from Gedan. Come on, I'm gonna come up towards your hands. I'm gonna stab you if you don't do something. He steps back to Jordan. Quickly, you take the kamae towards the kote. He steps back to Chudan. You still put the pressure on. He finally breaks. The pressure cooker boils over, and he throws out that kote, and you bam bam suriage. Okay. That is such a key element of kendo, especially like at somewhat higher levels. That's basically it's part of the idea behind taking the sen. That's something I talked about in the past as well. Taking the initiative, yeah, so that you can. Oh dear, this guy is really after me, isn't he? It's basically the skeleton of that in a way. That happens so much in a realistic situation with a shinai. It's putting pressure on. They don't, I don't like it. Maybe they'll try and put pressure on back, but it doesn't work. And then you're putting more on, so they come back again, and then eventually they break, they panic, and they either throw out a men or they throw out a kote like that. And that's how you set up your, I don't know, it could be your ojuwaza, it could be your debanawaza, it could be anything like that. Yeah, that's it feeds into not just seme, but lots of other concepts. Datotsu no kikai, for example. Yeah, I think that's a super important thing. I think there's lots of aspects of that. Again, Kata 7 is a great example of it too. Yeah, you start with the kiatari, where the Uchitachi starts with a thrust forward, and Uchitachi receives it, but they send their their energy forward as they receive it. Okay, so they're not just retreating. Yeah, sometimes you have this in Shinai Kendo where you step back, but actually it's not. It's not a retreat. It's almost like you're drawing them in. You're retreating, but you're still able to strike, and that's what happens here. Come back with the kiatari, and then as they reset, he panics in a way. Not panics, but he comes with that large strike with kind of overconfidence in a way, and you make that nukido. Yeah. Again, it's all about that sort of seme really, but where that comes from. And that's oh dear me, I'm still getting beaten up. You know, that's just exactly the same. It's just, you know, yeah, it looks a little bit different because we're doing it with Bokuto, and there's a little bit of a different reishiki, and obviously we know what's going to happen. But if you practice it like that, if you practice it with that intention, with that in mind, then that will translate over to your Shinai Kendo without a doubt. Yeah. And I think there's also lots of other periphery things as well as that. Finally, sort of to wrap up as we come to the end of this, I'd say that, you know, stuff like kamae, shisei, yeah, kamae, having good kamae. Of course, you use lots of different kamae in the kata, ones that we often don't use with the shinai, but still, you would use, you know, the kind of, even if you're doing a kamae that's not something you would do with a shinai, something like hasso or wakigamae, the concept of the migamae, yeah, and the kigamae, yeah, so the kamae of the body and the kamae of the spirit still hold true in both kata and with the shinai, in kendo with the shinai. It's exactly the same. Whether you're doing wakigamae, whether you're doing chudan no kamae, it's still the same in terms of your posture, yeah, but also more importantly your kigamae, your actual the kamae that you have inside your heart. Yeah, that kamae. Yeah, that's the same. And it must be practiced that way if it's to influence your shinai kendo, you know. Tenuchi is a little bit different because, like I say, the tenuchi is different with the bokuto than it is with the shinai. But hasuji is a good example because hasuji is the direction of the cutting, the direction of the blade when making particularly angled cuts. We do lots of angled cuts in kendo, don't we? Because we practice kirikaishi, which is a large repetition of left and right diagonal men strikes. Yeah, and if we don't do that with the correct hasuji, then it definitely isn't going to help our kendo. So practicing with the bokuto, practicing kata 7, for example, is a really good way to study the hasuji as well. Yeah, because lots of people, they have the incorrect hasuji when they hit do, they hit kind of sideways. So you've got that too.
You capture zone A.
And the other thing you have to do with kata, I think, that's super important, and I tell you what, I think it's something that lots of us don't do, and it's something that I've been guilty of as well, is we find somebody that we enjoy doing kata with because you kind of get them and you get the aiki with that person really easily. But then there's other people that you do it with and it's not so pleasant, so you try and avoid doing kata with them. And it's the same with shinai kendo, isn't it? There's some people that are you're like, oh, I don't really like practicing that person, and, maybe they hit a bit hard, or they're just awkward, maybe they hit you more than you like to be hit. Or they just do awkward kendo, or they don't engage with you very much, or something like that, but it's super important that you don't pick and choose like that in your keiko, whether it's kata or for shinai keiko. Actually, a sensei once told me that there's no bad opponents in kendo. Yeah. And of course, sometimes there are opponents that you're like, oh, this guy's hitting really hard, or this guy's not very accurate, or everybody has that. But at the same time, you kind of have to, part of your shugyo, your mission in kendo, your what should I say, your journey is dealing with that, isn't it? You can't just turn your back on it and just say, well, I don't want to, that's difficult for me, I don't like it, so I'm going to turn my back on it. Yeah, if you do that, you're not really going to benefit from it properly, and you're not going to become a well-rounded kendoka. And it's the same with kata. Yeah, if you have, to some extent, you might be better even to practice with those people that you feel less comfortable practicing the kata with, because maybe you have the you don't get the good aiki feeling with them so easily. Because if you practice more with those people, then you might find that you're able to achieve that kind of aiki feeling. Finally, after practice, you might figure it out, and then you'll find that when you start to do kendo with more different people, with shinai, with more different people, you'll probably find that actually now I figured that out in kata, that sort of translates as well. In theory. But that's up to you and how you apply yourself to it, of course. It's quite difficult to do, I think, but I think it is difficult because obviously when it's somebody, obviously it's very nice to, everybody likes to do kata, or even shinai keiko or kirikaishi with somebody that you get the nice feeling from doing it with. But you have to try and figure out how to get that feeling with as many people as possible. And it's not always, like I say, somebody said to me that there's no bad opponents in kendo. What that means is you can't just always say, well, it's their fault that it was bad. We didn't have the aiki because they did it wrong. Or the worst is like, oh, well, that guy, he hit me a lot, but like, it's because he's doing it wrong, he hit me a lot. That's that sort of thing. Or he beat me in the shiai, but It's because he does weird stuff. That's why, you know. And that sort of thing's really common. Yeah, you see that a lot. But I think if you practice kata with lots of different people, as many people as possible, I think it helps you become able to deal with lots of different styles of kendo, because you have to adapt your method of applying the concept of aiki. Yeah, you have to try and figure out a way that you can get your kind of connection on the same plane, as it were. Okay, so that's about it for today. I'm not going to go too long into this. I think I've gone into quite a lot of detail there. I've kind of, you know, considering I didn't have a cheat sheet today, it was really off the top of my head. I hope you enjoyed. I've obviously got, what is it, we're Wednesday, so Thursday, tomorrow, we've got Kendo Rant coming. If you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget there's a comment section down below. You can leave questions there for Kendo Rant, or you can join the Kendo Show Early Access group on Facebook. It's a fantastic group to join. It's free to join. You just click the link, you get approved in. It's a great community. There's loads of Kendoka in there from all over the world of all different levels. So if you post a question in there, yes, I'll answer it on the Kendo Rant, but you'll also get loads of information and opinions and stuff from loads of different kenshi. It's a great community, so definitely join in on that. I'll be doing that tomorrow. Friday, I'll be doing another video analysis. That's been really popular too. I'm really excited about that. It's really fun to do that too. Mitori Geiko is a super important aspect of Kendo, and it's another aspect that I think we need to do more of. And the idea of the video analysis really is that I just take you on my journey of Mitori Geiko, and I find something that I think is really great to watch and absorb. I kind of take you through my own thought process as to what it is I'm looking at and what I'm trying to take from that video. So yeah, all those things to look forward to this week. Don't forget to do the like, share, subscribe, all that thing. You can follow me on Twitch if that's a thing. You can you know, you can do all the social stuff. Yeah, you know what to do. There's a couple of comments. Just check there. Great Zio, hello there. Hi there. Thank you for joining us today. And Hodor Lebowski again. I really love how there's now a stable schedule for Kendo Relate shows to me. Yeah, thank you very much. Something I'm really trying my hardest to do. I'm trying to fill it out as well. So I've got more sort of ideas for content coming forward. But they're in the works, so watch this space for more. I'm working as well on the instructional videos. People keep, you know, I did get a couple of comments last week. Do you not make instructional videos anymore? I do, I really do. I'm working on my biggest project yet, which is Kendo 0 to Shodan. There's episode 1 up there already. Episode 2 is about 3/4 of the way finished, so we're getting there soon, and the next ones will come quite rapidly after that too, with a bit of luck. So that's that. Finally, don't forget, shop at KendoStar, KendoStar.com. That's my website. That's what pays for all this. That's what lets this happen. All right, shop in there. It's a really brilliant Borg shop, obviously, because that's what I do. I'm a Borg professional. That's what I do more than anything, and it's dead good. So shop there. Not only does it support me, but you'll be really happy with the stuff that we use. We're the top rated site on the internet, and it's really easy to see why when you have a look at what we sell. So get over there and support us there. Thanks a lot for watching today, and I'll see you all next time. Thanks a lot. Bye bye.